Yo, 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 what it do? What's good? What's crack-a-lacking? So, I haven't even posted in a couple of days, but that's all good. Ain't nobody even watching. But one day, I'm sure somebody will watch one day. What do you call it? One of my homies said something the other day, and, it kind of got me thinking real quick. He was saying that, he said, thank God that I'm able to sing to God. So the homie likes to sing at church to God, and he was like, ahorita que le puedo cantar a Dios, ahorita que puedo cantar, you know, le doy gracias a Dios. So that kind of got me thinking, like, that shit's crazy. Like, imagine, like, you do lose your voice, or just a tragedy like that does come to happen. Like, I'm very I'm very grateful to be enough to be uploading these videos onto YouTube. That way, later on in the world, just I can have these videos at least for myself. You know, at least I can look up the channel and remember, like, damn, I was posting up these videos and shit like that. And you know what, like, that's all I really want this channel to be about. Like, if anybody just wants to talk about some bullshit or just wants to talk about anything, like, go ahead and leave a comment, or you know hit me up, and you could tell those stories, something like Goblin. Like, I really like what Goblin's doing now with his content. Like, that fool just calling people, or he's saying his stories, like, about how he got into drugs and shit like that, and what he was going on, like, what he was doing basically. And like, I kind of want to do the same, like, or at least I want to have this documented down for, I guess you could say personal reasons. Just another place that I can say I have some audio recordings. You know what I mean? And, that's just pretty much a trip, but it just kind of got me thinking to, continue doing this even if nobody's watching. It really don't matter, you know? Like, you would think, like, and it's crazy because my mind is always going just all over the place. Because, like, now it's like, yeah, you do this to try to make a little extra money on YouTube. But then again, it's like, nah, like, I've always liked recording myself sing. I've always liked recording myself just talk, to be honest. So, like, I should have been doing this a long time ago. I bet you there's phones out there that are just filled up with, like, recordings that I used to do when I was just fucking high, just talking into the cell phone, pretty much. So, I've been doing this for a long time, like, just on my own though. But it is kind of cool, like, seeing just YouTube for what it is. People going up and putting up their own style of content, and just the things that they're into. Like, that's pretty cool, to be honest. I ain't even gonna lie. That really inspires me in a lot of different ways. And like I said, like, for me, I could just post up any type of memories that I have, any type of stories. Like, that's what this channel's about. Like, I want to talk about me growing up in, Los Angeles, California. And, out of high school, just joining a band with, with the group, and touring around Los Angeles, touring around, LA County, and just having a good time. And, little by little, I just started getting into really bad drug problems. I was really into crystal methamphetamines, and alcohol, and just kind of a little bit of everything, you know. I had already done a bunch of drugs, you know, like getting out of high school and whatnot, but for the most part, that crystal really took a hold on me, and you know, so I could just talk about that and just basically talk about what I'm doing right now in life, you know. Thankfully out here, you know, grinding and working in the world of logistics and the world of warehousing, you know. And you know, it's something that I really love to do and I really enjoy. And you know, you see a lot of ups, you see a lot of downs, you see a lot. You see more than you would ever imagine. You know, at least through my eyes, but that's how I've kind of always seen the world. At least you always look at the bad, you always look at the good, you always look at the left, you always look at the right, you always look at the up, you always look at the down. You know, you just look at it in all kinds of angles, and you know, being able to get the opportunity to work in a warehouse in Los Angeles, and be able to, you know, start learning there. Right there, learned everything from cleaning out the back hall, all the cardboard, the plastic, the watermelons, all that bullshit, all the garbage. You know, you start off right there. Then, you know, order selecting. Then receiving is where my soul is always at. And you know, then after that, getting the opportunity to come out on the road and work for different companies, you know, and I'm loving every second of it, and I'm grateful for it. You know, I've gone to a lot of different states, and you know, some right off the top of my head, once again, like Illinois, Ohio, New York, Georgia, Tennessee, Oregon, Kentucky, and there's a couple more. Mississippi, Indiana. And you know, just being able to go out and learn the world of logistics, to be honest. Now, I'm not going to say that I can go in and, you know, just actually, yeah, just get me around a group of people that can work. And yeah, you probably can't run a warehouse, but I mean, obviously you would need to learn that the process of how each warehouse does it, because every warehouse is different. You know, you can go to some warehouses that do the, you know, the Vocalet system, and they're pretty much just picking with the Vocalet. And then you have some that are picking with a Gladiator. Then you have some that are picking with a tiny computer. You know, it just goes a bunch of different ways, and to be honest, like, I just really enjoy it. You know, you get to see a lot of different people. You see a lot of different functions, you see a lot of different work. You see why warehouses are in current situation that they are in, you know. And you know, you get to learn a philosophy behind it, you know. I see, you know, sometimes what warehouses are lacking and what warehouses are thriving on, and you know, I just like to keep a close eye on all those things, and you know, see how they run their operations. But you know, I'm more of a person that likes to chill with the homies and the homegirls, you know, at work. And you know, There's times that you go out and chill out, but I've normally always just kind of chilled out on my own. You know, there's those occasions, but at the same time, you just always gotta be careful. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, you out on the road, you don't know anybody. You know, people tend to ask a lot of questions and they find out little information like you're not from around there. And the only thing I'm saying is that you're an outsider, just like I'm an outsider. So, you know, just know where you at. That's what I'm trying to say, because it's different everywhere you go. You know. The you know, something that I was thinking about today, and it's just like a funny story, you know, is I remember one time I was at a restaurant with the grupo, you know, and everybody was having a good time. Everybody was, you know, kicking it, relaxing, and just doing their thing. And so, you know, I remember that we go ahead and we're straight up at the restaurant, and everybody's fucking drinking, everybody's having a good time, everybody's just fucking chilling. And you know, the compas was like, what's up, like, let's go hit some fucking bird. I was like, alright, cool, you know. And so we go to the restroom, whatever. And the restroom, you know, obviously it's a restroom and there's fools in there and shit. And we're all talking, and you know, we go into a little circle, into a little bola. And these fools are hating it, these fools are hating it. And the bolsita's getting passed around. And the bolsita comes to me, you know. And fucking once the bolsita gets handed over to me, the fucking, I don't know if it was a sheriff, I don't know if it was a security, I don't know if it was a cop, but I remember this restaurant was pretty heavy on what do you call it, on security, because there was a shitload. You know how it is at the fucking, with the compas, with the corridos, you know. You know, just in case you don't know, I record, you know, next to, you know, out of my hotel room, and there's a freeway right here. And me and this fool, I have the bag right in my hand. This fool walks in, he looks around, he sees me with that shit in my hand, and just like, it's some shit out of a movie. That fool just like puts this look on his face, he looks down, he just shakes his head, and he's like, fuck, man. And he just turns the fuck around outside and walks out. You know, it's crazy because I know that, you know, they let us off because of the people that I was with. These are just people that, like, you know, the security knew, the people knew, and it's just kind of like, that's just crazy. Sometimes in life it's about who you know? Like, that day I should have gone to fucking jail for, you know, cocaine possession. And that shit was a good amount, too. Like, I'm not gonna say that it was like a fucking crazy ass amount, but it was a bolsita that was fucking full. You know, it looked more than an 8-ball. And, you know, at the time, you're just pretty much like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what the fuck? But then I just went ahead and fucking hit that shit. And fucking, and then you just kind of go on with the night, you know, you're already fucking drinking, you're already fucking hitting some bird. So then we walk back to where, you know, the live music's at, where the foods and the tables are at and shit. And we're kind of hearing the banda, and the night's kind of coming up to an end and shit. And, it's just fucking, it's just legit right there. You're just fucking straight fucking chilling, and the fucking cops, the fool that saw me in the restroom just comes up right in front of me, and then that fool just like goes right in front of me and like starts blocking the view to the banda, and I'm just tripping like, dick, like this fool's just killing it right now. Like it was just fucking cool a second ago. Everybody's fucking drinking, having a good time. But I mean, I guess I kind of, he had to say something, right? Like, hey, motherfucker, I know, so don't make me fucking, hit up some people to come search y'all motherfuckers. Like, I don't know. I guess you could say that was pretty cool. And I know I got a lot of stories, but believe me, like, at this point I wouldn't even come up here and lie. Like, at this point I'd just be happy that I got the voice to go ahead and say the stories that I got. So later on, if anything were to happen, like I said earlier to start off this video, I could just come back and listen to it. These are stories that happen and shit that lives in my mind, so might as well have it somewhere. And if anybody wants to go ahead and share stories that they got in their mind, what's good. But that kind of like, I don't want to say that taught me a lot that day, because I had kind of known growing up, but for the most part in this world, like, it really is about who you know. Because I remember, like, after that, like, those Huda and all those fools were, like, chomping it up with the people that were sitting at our table and shit, and, it was just a fucking crazy-ass experience. It just kind of goes to show another situation that I avoided. And I didn't really avoid, just that this fool decided to be fucking cool. That's why, like, these cops, they're cool when they want to be. I ain't gonna talk no shit. As of right now, I never had a situation with them, so I'm not even gonna, say anything or comment on it. But, these fools in LA, I don't know if they just be letting you slide a lot or get away with a lot, but that kind of brings me up to another little story that I have like that. I remember, coming out of high school, I had gone to this party, and fucking, so we got dropped off. We went on the bus, we got dropped off, then we, got back on the bus that night, and they dropped us off somewhere in downtown, over there by like where the Dragons are at, in this big ass parking lot. So we're right there. It's me, my brother, and his homeboy, and we got some bud on us, and we're just sparking something up, and the fucking security just pulls up out of nowhere. I think it had to have been a security. Yeah, I don't think it was a cop this time. It was security. He's like, yo, hold the fuck up. And then we're just like, yo, what the fuck? And this fool pulls up, and he's like, what are you fools doing? Like, what are you guys doing? And then we pretty much like, chill, we're just fucking chilling, And he's like, how old are you fools? And then we had to pretty much let him know, that we were underage. And at the time, I was gonna graduate high school, and then I was just like, come on, man, don't do this shit. Like, I'm about to fucking graduate, in a couple of days. He's like, oh, you're gonna graduate? And I went ahead and let him know, and I told him the school, and he was just pretty much like, oh, do you know this person? And I was like, I do know that person. And then he's just like, that's my cousin. I think he said his cousin or his niece. I think it was his niece, now that I think about it. But he was like, that's my niece. And I was just like, oh, like, yeah, I know her. She's good people, bro. He was just like, alright, well, I'm gonna see you at that graduation, bro. You take care. I was like, damn. I swear that happened. But, once again, that's just one of those little situations. It's like, it's about who you know? And I get a lot of that, like, I get a lot of that situations. And not really like that either, but that's a couple of situations right there where it really saved my ass. Like if that fool wanted to be in a fucking dick or something, but nah, that fool was mad fucking cool about that shit. And I hope he saw me, and you know, shit happens, bro. You know, but I appreciate you letting us off and enjoying the rest of that night. I mean, we ended up just going home anyways, but it don't matter. And then again, honestly, it's about like being out here on the road and just talking to people. Like I said, just sometimes you gotta be careful who you talk to. Now, I love turning on, everything when it comes to dealing with GMs and managers and people from the hotel and things like that, because like, honestly, it's about, talking right. I'm not gonna say I got the best attitude either, because I've been a dick, to be honest. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I have a very strong attitude, I guess, but sometimes you just gotta know when to turn it on. Maybe turn on a little charm, or because I don't even work with charm. I would say it's just more like talk straight up. Talking to these managers and GMs, because managers and GMs, what they want to see is people come to work, get performance, hit over 100%, and work the 12 fucking hours if they're asked to. No bullshit. Especially for anybody that's out there on the road traveling, they don't want to see that shit. I'm telling you fools right now. And if you out there hitting your numbers, do your fucking thing, you're not missing work, you're not getting there late, perfect. But shit, if you over here bullshitting, they don't need that, bro. You have to be lucky and find a site that does not give a fuck, or find a warehouse that don't give a fuck. I've seen a lot of those, and I've been around a lot of those. You just gotta get lucky. I don't know. I would like to find out how these companies really work, who makes these decisions on these third parties. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I plan on opening a third party logistics company, and we're going to be the best. It would just be like hiring, I guess the people that can most be capable for the type of positions that are asked. If they're to order select, we're going to find the best order selectors that have experience with common sense on how to select orders and previous experience. And we're going to make sure if they don't have that experience, we're going to send them out and we're going to train them, because that's just the way it's supposed to happen. I get inspired by like those companies that like start off big and they'll send you out to a certain state or to a certain place to go out and train, and you get a dorm out there, or live out there, and you really get to soak it all in, and that would be the ideal thing. I know it's going to cost a lot of money to do, but imagine the type of people and workers that you're going to have. People that want to go out and learn how to receive, and people that want to learn and go how to order select and run a warehouse, and just motivate people in life. That's what I would say. I don't know, but asking them, helping them, hey, I was one of those people that was fucking on drugs, hopped up, off meth, off bud, off alcohol, and it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, to be honest. Like, you're not supposed to be working like that, obviously, but you got rent coming, and shit, you ain't got nothing saved up, and that shit's just some bullshit. You gotta go to work, I ain't got no license. Like, maybe build a company like that about people who want to help each other out, and it's just like, yo, just caught up in a bad situation right now. But maybe I need the road to go out there. Like, I'll be honest with you, the first day I got on the road, I was gonna go drink, but there's a homie that stopped me. He was just like, bro, think about it. You told me you've been clean for this long, and you really about to fuck it all up. And I went to sleep that night, and I never touched anything, and I thank God I didn't. I thank him I didn't too. It's just crazy how life is sometimes. And I'm happy I didn't, Now it's just smoking a little bud and chilling. Talking into this mic. 1 check, 1 2, mic 2 1 2. Mic check. But that's what I want this channel to be about. Just talk about your experiences. Because I'll be honest with you, that was my favorite thing to do. Just be getting fucking high and going to work and receiving these fucking pallets and chilling with the fucking lumpers and drinking inside the fucking containers, and shit was dope. It just depends on what you're doing, and depends your function, and depends who you're around, and just work with safety more than anything. Proper PPE, Be aware of your surroundings. Know where your partner is at all times. Just simple things like that. Don't get on machinery if you're all fucked up. That shit's stupid too, And if you're tired, don't get on the machine if you're tired. I've been honestly, after a gig, getting off at fucking 2, 3 in the morning out of a gig in LA and going to work to pick fucking orders. Man, that was dope. But I'll tell you one thing. I was fucking going to sleep on that pallet jack. That shit was crazy. But it is what it is. It is what it is, and I'm just happy that things are not like that anymore. And I'm able to speak about it now, and just kind of hope that it stays like that. I'm never gonna be the type of person that says I'm never gonna drink again, I'm never gonna do anything again. I'm just not doing it right now. But yeah, like, those are some cool little things that sometimes it's about the people that in those situations. Like, honestly, like, after my homie had said that, like, I just feel like talking about random shit. I got a lot of different things to talk about that I could just post up, and like I said, you can just listen, and it's basically about the shit I was doing while I was gigging when I was in LA, and now life traveling on the road. Talk about the different states that I've been to, and talk about different functions that I've been to, and just try to do something, stay out of trouble, I guess. Because sometimes I feel it. I be having dreams about fucking doing some crystal or doing some alcohol all the time. That shit's crazy. Not all the time, but like maybe like it just depends on the week, I guess, or something. But sometimes the dreams just switch up, and sometimes you don't think about it for a long time. And for me, it's been almost 6 years now. And I met some homeboy today that pretty much said that he was going on a couple years too. So shout out to anybody that's just kind of going through a similar experience, and kind of going through what we all going through, But yeah, once again, just kind of want to keep posting up these videos and talking about random shit, and we'll see what it leads up to. I'm always kind of wanted to do like a book or write a TV show or something. That'd be pretty cool too. Start that company. Start a third-party logistics company. Sounds dope. Just do a little bit of everything, you know? See what your mind can handle and see what your body can handle, you know? But everybody be safe. We'll see what's good.